Hello, and welcome to this short little video where I'm going to share a promotional technique for my author persona that I did that was very effective, and I stopped doing it for a reason, and I'll explain. So, um, because I'm a professor and I'm also an author. Um, I work at three different schools. My primary job is as a department head at Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina. I teach at Southern New Hampshire. I look these creative writing courses for the graduate students because I love creative writing. I love writing, and I really enjoy teaching here. This is fun for me. And then I also teach some online courses at a community college. Um, in North Carolina, online courses as well. That's where actually I got my start, was at a community college, and then I got my job at Shaw University. And so I like to, I get all sorts of different perspectives, aside from I get paid more money, by doing that. But I get different perspectives by working at different schools. So like when if one of my schools says, "Hey, this is the way things are done," I'm like, "Really?" Because in my other two schools, we don't do it that way, And as a department head, I'm constantly trying to improve my department and trying to improve the school and stuff like that. So with that being said, I on Facebook, what I would post time and again would be something that I would call conversation with the student, where it was almost a form of therapy, where it would it would be a transaction that I had with the student either online or with whatever. And I never said what school it was at. I never said the student's name. I never disclosed any information because there's a law called FERPA where I can't share anything that will identify the student, because I worked at three different schools and I could share these. These are just things that people would say. And so I would post these and people would, really enjoy seeing these. And I'd always kind of reference them back like, "Hey, whatever." And so I actually eventually put together a collection called Conversation with a Student. And look at this. See this little thing? Isn't that cool? Um, this is just my sense of humor. So actually, you can't really read this cool little thing. It looks like I won an award, but what it says is, if this book won an award, it might look like this. And the bottom line, like here, it says "made you look." Okay, so I'll give you an example. Like on the back, right? And there I am. It's like, to keep from going insane, a professor wrote down actual conversations with today's students as a form of therapy. Read at your own risk. Okay, so I'm just going to just randomly read one. Let's see. Okay, conversation with the student via email. The setting, okay. The professor is teaching 7 classes over the course of whatever. Okay, that's a lot of classes. He's instructed all his students to include their class and section number with each email, along with being specific with their question. Okay, so this is the interchange that happened via email. Did you get my paper? The professor responds, "Which class are you in?" Student replies, "English." Professor says, "Well, that would make sense as I'm an English professor. Which English class are you in? Also, which paper?" Student said, "I'm not sure." And the professor said, "In that case, I'm not sure if I received your paper." And the student's like, "Fine, never mind." Okay, now that's just kind of silly, right? That someone would actually do that. That's not even one of the funnier ones. I mean, there's some of these are pretty crazy. Like the one in the back here. Student says, "There's a 50-50 chance the zombie apocalypse will happen." Professor, "Oh, how do you know that?" Student says, "Because either it will happen or it won't." I said, "Well," professor said, "well, with that logic, there's a 50-50 chance of getting, you'll get struck by lightning." Student says, "It's sunny outside." It's like, what? Okay, I mean, these are actual conversations that I wrote down, like, did that really happen? So I put together this, so I would post these, and I put together a book, and then I stopped. And the reason that I stopped was because, this is several years ago, that there became a big movement where it was people were losing their jobs over stuff they had posted, years ago that at the time was fine, but now is not fine. And I was super careful about everything that I posted to make sure it was legal, there was nothing offensive or anything like that. But times change. And so I thought, you know what, this is something that I just, even though people enjoyed it and it drove a lot of traffic to, to my website and stuff like this, I elected to say, you know what, I don't want to be one of those people 10 years from now where they're saying, you can't do that. And look, he did that. And so therefore we're going to fire you over something you did 10 years ago that was okay. And so I'm like, you know what, I don't want to risk that. Because that's not my persona. My author persona is one who's tries to be very genuine, very open, very honest, very respectful, very, try to be very, keep an open mind about things, try not to be preachy, just try to, say things as it is. And so I thought, you know what, I don't want to risk that. So why am I including this video as part of this, supplemental thing here for this class? Very simply is like, understand that you may need to adjust with the times, not only with the technology that changes, but also that the social, dynamic may change. And what may work as a promotion at one point in time may not work in the future, or what doesn't work now may work in the future. So something to consider, that you've got to always constantly be looking for what works and what doesn't, and what's appropriate and what can get you into trouble. There you go.